All right, let's dive right into this.
Yeah.
Sweden's economic forecast. We've got this December 2024 report
Okay.
called The Swedish Economy.
Right.
And this is from the National Institute of Economic Research, NI,
Uh-huh.
the NIER.
Mm-hmm.
They're a government agency over in Sweden that reports to the Ministry of Finance.
Okay.
And they put this out
Yeah.
4 times a year.
I see.
So this is their in-depth analysis. So, Sweden is in a recession right now.
Right.
And this deep dive, we're going to kind of look at what they're predicting.
Okay.
Where are they headed?
Where's this all going?
Yeah, are they going to sink or swim?
Well, to even understand where Sweden might be headed,
Right.
we kind of have to glance at the global economy.
Yeah.
The global currents right now.
Yeah.
The Eurozone is doing pretty weak.
Especially Germany.
Especially Germany.
Yeah.
Having low confidence.
Yeah.
Their manufacturing is a bit shaky.
Oh, that's not good for Sweden.
No.
Because a lot of their exports go to the Eurozone.
Yeah, a weak Eurozone means less demand for those exports.
Yeah, it's kind of a domino effect.
Yeah.
One goes down and then it can knock another one off balance.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
But on the flip side of that,
Yeah.
the U.S. is doing much better.
Okay.
Strong household consumption and low unemployment.
Okay, so it's a mixed bag.
It's mixed
Yeah.
globally.
All right, well, let's get back to Sweden
Okay. Yep.
and their recession.
Right.
So the NIER report says that the recession is going to continue
Uh-huh.
throughout 2025, possibly even into 2026.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a while.
Yeah, and unemployment is up.
Right.
And they say that households are being really cautious
Yeah.
with their spending.
I mean, it makes sense.
Yeah.
When the economy's shaky, people tend to batten down the hatches, wait for the storm to pass.
It's like hunkering down,
Exactly.
waiting it out.
All right.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though. Even if the storm clouds part,
Yeah.
will Swedes be ready to come out of their bunker?
That is the question.
That is the question.
It's the million krona question.
Yeah.
The report does suggest that there could be a turning point
Yep.
in the middle of 2025.
Mid-2025.
But there are headwinds.
Okay, like what kind of headwinds?
Well, for starters,
Yeah.
we talked about the weak exports.
Right, from that Eurozone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's the housing market.
Okay.
Investments in housing actually saw an uptick
Oh, okay.
in Q3 of 2024,
Okay.
but it's expected to kind of recover more slowly
Okay.
from like the second quarter of 2025.
So no boom.
Not necessarily a boom.
Okay.
It's more of a slow climb,
Okay.
and businesses seem to be holding back on investments as well.
Oh, okay.
Um,
So they're not.
waiting for more certainty
Yeah.
before they open the floodgates
Yes.
of spending.
Got it. So
Yeah.
public spending's going up a bit.
Yeah, public consumption is going up. But that's mostly driven by defense spending.
Okay, but now let's talk about
Yeah.
households.
Let's talk about the average Sven and their
Yeah.
spending habits.
Because this is where things, I think, get kind of interesting.
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah, because where we see if those safety nets are actually
Right.
working.
This is where the rubber meets the road.
Right, yeah.
So you see, household consumption has been weak.
Yeah, no surprise.
No surprise.
Yeah.
But it's projected to actually rebound
Oh,
to pre-inflation levels in 2025.
okay.
And disposable income is actually predicted to grow faster
Right.
than previous years.
So they're going to have more money to spend.
Right. They're going to have more money to jingle in their pockets.
Okay, well, that sounds great.
Right. You think, okay,
Yeah.
happy days are here again.
More money, more spending, happy days.
Right.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. The report predicts that Swedes might actually become more hesitant to spend,
Wait a minute, they're going to have more money,
even with more money.
but they're going to spend less?
They might spend less.
What's going on?
Seems like they're channeling their inner frugal Viking.
Yeah.
They're prioritizing saving over spending.
Got it.
The savings ratio,
Mhm.
which is like the portion of their income they're putting aside,
Yeah.
has actually increased.
That's okay.
And it's projected to stay above
So they're getting
double.
decade-long average.
More money.
Mm-hmm.
They're saving more.
Yeah.
So could that actually slow down the recovery?
It could.
It's kind of like
It's catch-22.
it's catch-22.
Yeah.
So on the one hand, we've got these kind of skittish consumers.
Right.
What else could make or break this recovery?
Well, there's another thing
Yeah.
that's kind of interesting in the report.
Okay.
Remember that big jump in inventory investments?
Oh, yeah. Back in Q3 2024.
Yeah, back in Q3 2024.
The biggest jump since like 1993. the biggest single quarter jump since 1993.
Yeah, that seemed positive.
It did,
Yeah.
but it turns out that a good chunk of that surge was likely involuntary.
Oh, what do you mean?
Meaning businesses probably got stuck with more inventory than
Oh.
planned because of production disruptions.
Okay.
So it wasn't necessarily
It's more like
like a booming confidence signal.
Yeah.
More of a
a glitch.
logistical hiccup.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've got cautious consumers.
Uh-huh.
We've got this potential production bottleneck.
Right.
What else is lurking out there?
Well, there's the business investment piece.
Okay.
While there is some growth projected
Okay.
2025
Mm-hmm.
with a bigger upswing in 2026,
Yeah.
it seems like companies are holding back, waiting for more certainty.
So everyone's waiting for someone else to make the first move.
Right.
It's like an economic staring contest.
Exactly.
Okay.
Now, the report does point
Yeah.
to some potential bright spots,
Okay, let's hear it.
starting in mid-2025.
Mid-2025, okay.
Yeah. So from the first quarter of 2025 onward,
Yeah.
business sector output
Yeah.
is projected to increase,
Okay.
led by manufacturing
Okay.
and business-related services.
Right.
And unemployment
Yeah.
should start to decline slightly
Yep.
toward the end of 2025.
Sure,
It's
great.
going to stay above that equilibrium level,
A slow climb.
but it
Yeah.
should start to edge down.
Okay, so it's like we're slowly climbing out of this recession.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That seems to be the
But there are all these
most likely scenario.
factors.
Yeah. It's like climbing a mountain.
Yeah.
You know, you might slip back a little bit
Yeah.
here and there.
You got to get your footing.
Yeah. But as long as you keep moving upwards,
Right.
eventually you reach the summit.
Okay, so we've talked about output,
Mm-hmm.
unemployment.
Right.
What about
Yeah.
the stuff that hits everyone's wallet,
Yeah.
like wages and inflation?
All right, let's talk about that.
What's the NIER report have to say about that?
Well,
Yeah.
wage growth is expected to slow in 2025,
Okay.
but it's still going to be higher than historical averages.
Okay, so not terrible.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. As for CPIF inflation,
Yeah.
that was actually below the 2% target in November 2024.
Okay, so it's behaving itself.
Relatively speaking, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But here's something interesting.
Yeah.
Remember how energy prices
Oh my gosh, you.
were so high?
Yeah, especially electricity.
Especially
It was
electricity.
crazy last winter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, those high energy prices have
Yeah.
actually been a major factor in lowering inflation recently.
Oh, wow.
So,
So even a cold winter
yeah,
can have a silver lining.
exactly.
Yeah.
But
Energy prices are unpredictable.
that's the catch,
Yeah.
you know?
If we have another
What if we got
cold
out?
snap, another deep freeze.
Yeah, and prices go through the roof.
Yeah. And then that 1.6% inflation forecast
Yeah.
could just disappear.
Like a snowflake in spring.
All right. So we've got this potential recovery.
Yeah.
But with some question marks.
Mm-hmm.
You know, consumer confidence,
Right.
energy prices,
Yeah.
business investments.
Mm.
What
Yeah.
are the powers that be doing?
Well, the Riksbank,
Yeah.
which is Sweden's central bank,
Yeah.
they've been cutting the policy rate
Okay.
since May 2024.
Mm.
And they're expected to reach 1.50% by June 2025.
Okay.
And then hold it steady for a while.
Okay.
So they're trying to,
It's a balancing act.
stimulate the economy without sending inflation.
Right. Without it getting out of control.
Yeah, on a roller coaster ride.
Okay.
What about the government?
Well, they're currently running a deficit,
Okay.
which is predict to improve slightly
Okay.
in 2025, but still remain a deficit.
Okay.
There is a new balanced net lending target being proposed,
Okay.
but that's a whole other...
We'll save that for another deep dive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it
Yeah.
seems like Sweden's economic fate
Yeah.
hangs in the balance.
It does.
There are signs pointing towards a potential recovery,
Uh-huh.
but then there are all these uncertainties.
Yeah. It's a
It's not-
reminder that
It's
economics,
not a simple equation.
it's not a simple equation.
There's so many factors.
There are so many variables,
Yeah.
both within Sweden and
Yeah.
globally,
Right.
that could influence
Yeah.
how this unfolds.
So let's bring this back to our listener for a minute.
Right.
All right. So let's say you're planning a trip to Sweden
Okay.
next year.
All right.
What should you keep in mind?
Well, weak krona
Yeah.
could actually be good news for your wallet.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
your travel budget
Your dollars might go further.
might stretch a bit further.
Okay. Let's
Um,
see.
but on a more serious note,
Yeah.
you might notice that
Yeah.
Swedes are being more mindful of their spending.
Right.
So,
So maybe pack a lunch.
maybe pack a lunch or
Yeah.
two
Yeah.
instead of eating out every night.
Good idea.
But remember how we talked about those skittish consumers?
Yeah, saving all their money.
Yeah, and their savings rate going up.
Yeah. They're becoming more like the Germans.
Yeah, they're becoming more like their frugal German neighbors.
Yeah. Yeah.
So do you think this could be a cultural shift?
I don't know.
It's
hard to say.
It's hard to say.
It's fascinating.
It is. It speaks to the interplay between economics and social behavior.
Right. Yeah.
So, going back to that question we posed at the beginning,
Yeah.
can Sweden's safety net really cushion the blow
Yeah.
of this recession?
Or is this cautious approach going to backfire? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, what do you think?
It's a tough one.
It is a tough one.
Because on the one hand,
Yeah,
these safety nets are really strong.
they are.
And they could provide a buffer.
Right.
They could prevent the
Right.
kind of unrest that we
That's-
see
so-
in other
okay.
countries.
It could prevent
Right.
skyrocketing poverty rates.
Yeah.
Um,
They're like a shock absorber.
right. They're an economic shock absorber.
Yeah.
They kind of help stabilize the situation, prevent things from spiraling out of control.
Could even the strongest safety net fray under a prolonged recession?
That's a valid concern.
Yeah. Eventually do those government coffers run dry?
Right.
Yeah.
And that raises another question,
Yeah.
is Sweden's traditionally cautious approach to economic policy?
Yeah, they're pretty cautious.
All right.
Strategy.
Yeah. They're very reluctant to embrace
Yeah.
big stimulus spending.
Large-scale stimulus spending.
Yeah.
Uh,
It's like, do you take the pain now or do you just wait?
is it short-term pain for potential long-term gain?
Right.
It's like choosing between two paths through the woods.
Okay.
One path,
Yeah.
the stimulus route promises a faster journey.
Yeah.
But, there's a risk of encountering obstacles like inflation and debt.
Right.
The other path,
Yeah.
the cautious path,
Yeah.
might be slower and more arduous,
Yeah.
but perhaps safer in the long run.
Only time will tell.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing.
Yeah.
Even within Sweden,
Yeah.
there's no single consensus
Right.
on the best way forward.
Oh, interesting.
Some economists and policymakers
Okay.
are actually pushing
Okay.
for a more aggressive fiscal response.
So they're saying spend.
Yeah, they're saying it's time to loosen the purse strings a bit.
Okay. Got it.
They argue that, targeted investments
Okay.
in areas like infrastructure
Yeah.
or green energy
Yeah.
could boost demand in the short term,
Yeah.
but also lay the foundation.
For a better future.
Yeah, for a
A more sustainable future.
sustainable and resilient economy
Okay.
in the future. So it's not just about throwing money at the problem.
Right.
It's about being strategic.
Exactly. It's about making investments that will pay dividends
Got it.
now and in the years to come.
So we've got this internal debate
Mm-hmm.
happening in Sweden about how to navigate this recession.
Yeah.
How does Sweden's overall economic model,
Right.
which really emphasizes social welfare
Yeah.
and balanced budgets,
Yeah.
how does that compare to other countries?
That is a great question.
Yeah.
And it's one that economists are actively debating right now.
Yeah.
There's no doubt that,
Yep.
Sweden's social safety net
Yeah.
could help mitigate,
Right.
some of the harsher social and economic consequences of this downturn.
Yeah. Compared to other countries that don't have that.
Less comprehensive
Yeah.
support system.
It's like having a stronger safety harness
That's a great analogy.
when you're climbing that economic mountain.
Yeah. But,
Yeah.
even the strongest safety net can only do so much if
Right.
the recession drags on too long.
Yeah.
Those resources.
It's not a bottomless pit of money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's where,
Yeah.
Sweden's cautious approach to fiscal policy comes in.
Right.
Some argue
Yeah.
that this reluctance to engage
Yeah.
in that large-scale stimulus spending
Yeah.
might actually lead to a slower recovery
Okay.
compared to countries that are more willing to
Just open up
open the floodgates
Yeah.
to spending.
Yeah.
So
So it's like a trade-off.
it is a trade-off.
Short-term pain
Yeah.
versus long-term gain.
It's a dilemma,
It is.
and there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
It really depends on how you weigh
Yeah.
the potential risks and rewards.
It's like a high-stakes poker game,
Yeah.
but the stakes are like an entire nation.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a pretty...
I don't know about you, but my brain is officially in economic overload mode.
We've covered a lot today, haven't we?
We have.
We went from global trends
Yeah.
to like the nitty-gritty details of the forecast.
Yeah.
Um,
You talked about the key drivers,
we explored the key drivers,
the turning points,
the potential turning point,
the policy
the
responses,
policy responses,
the underlying economic philosophies.
the philosophies at play.
And I think most importantly, we've
Yeah.
tried to
Yeah,
connect all this to
Mm.
our listener
right.
and say, what does this mean
What does it all mean
for you?
for them?
You know, what does it mean if you're
Yeah,
thinking of traveling to Sweden
right.
or just trying to make sense of the news?
Yeah, we've aimed to provide a
Yeah.
comprehensive,
Yeah.
insightful
feels-
deep dive, and hopefully our listener
Feels smarter.
feels more equipped to
Yeah.
understand what's going on and form their own
Their own opinion.
informed opinions.
And that's what it's all about.
Yeah,
It's about empowering.
empowering the listeners.
Yeah. To
Become informed,
become more informed
engaged.
and engaged citizens.
Right. We're not here to
We're not here
tell
to
them what to think,
tell them what to think,
but to give them the tools.
but to give them
Yeah.
the knowledge and tools
Yeah.
to think for themselves.
Yeah, and to
Dra-
come to their own conclusions.
And draw their own conclusions.
Yeah,
Um,
because knowledge is power.
knowledge is power.
Right.
And by making this,
By making this information accessible
Yeah.
and engaging,
Yeah.
we hope to
we hope to inspire,
inspire our listeners to stay
stay curious.
curious,
Yeah.
stay critical,
Yeah.
and stay
engaged with the world of economics.
Yeah, because it's
An ever-evolving world.
yeah, it's always changing.
Always changing.
and it affects
It affects every single one of us.
all of us.
Yeah.
And it's
It's fascinating to see
how all these different
how these different economic philosophies
Yeah.
play out
play out in the real world.
in the real world.
Yeah, and I think Sweden is like this
Yeah.
case study
It's a case study.
in how to balance social welfare with fiscal responsibility.
Yeah, it's a delicate dance.
It is.
And they certainly faced criticism
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
from both sides.
But they get it from both sides.
Some argue
Yeah.
they're too cautious, too slow to react,
Yeah.
while others say their
Yeah.
social programs are too generous.
Right.
And they create a culture of dependency.
It's like walking a tightrope,
Yeah.
trying to find that.
Trying to find that perfect balance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one thing that
Mm-hmm.
keeps coming back to me
Yeah.
as we've been
Good.
talking about all this
Yeah.
is the human element. It's such an important point.
Yeah. You know, we talk about the economy
Yeah.
as this like
This abstract entity.
abstract thing.
Yeah.
But ultimately, it's about people.
Ultimately, it's about people.
Yeah.
It's about
Their livelihoods.
your livelihoods,
Their hopes.
their anxieties.
Their anxieties,
Yeah.
behind all the data points and the forecasts.
Yeah.
There are
Where families,
families struggling to make ends meet,
businesses fighting to stay afloat,
businesses fighting to stay afloat,
young people.
young people wondering
Yeah.
if they'll ever be able to afford a home.
Yeah.
These are the stories that,
That often get lost.
often get lost.
Yeah. And that's what I
Yeah.
think we try to do here on the deep dive.
Yeah.
We try to bring those stories
Bring those stories to the forefront.
to the forefront.
Yeah. Connect the dots.
Yeah. And connect the dots between the big picture
Yeah. Between the
Yeah.
big picture.
and the individual.
Individual experiences.
Yeah. Because it's not just about.
Ultimately, understanding the economy
Yeah.
isn't just about crunching numbers.
Right.
It's about understanding people,
Right.
their motivations,
Their motivation.
their choices,
Yeah.
their resilience.
Their resilience.
It's about recognizing that,
Yeah.
behind every economic indicator,
Yeah.
there's a human narrative
Right.
waiting to be explored.
Okay. Well said.
So as we kind of wrap up
Yeah.
this
the deep diving.
deep dive into the Swedish economy,
What's the one thing
yeah,
you want our listener
what's the key takeaway?
to walk away with?
I'd say it's this.
Okay.
The future of Sweden's economy,
Yeah.
like any economy,
Right.
is uncertain.
Yeah.
There are potential paths toward recovery,
Yeah.
but also
They're also
real challenges and risks.
yes and challenges.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what's inspiring
Yeah.
is that there's a real commitment
Okay.
in Sweden
Yeah.
to finding solutions
Yeah.
that prioritize both economic stability
Yeah.
and social well-being.
And that's a lesson that I think
Yeah.
we can all
We can all learn from.
take to heart,
Yeah.
no matter where we live,
Regardless of where
Yeah.
we live or
Yeah.
what
what challenges we're facing.
economic challenges we face.
It's about finding that balance
Yeah, it's about finding that balance
Yeah.
between
between
pragmatism and compassion,
right.
between individual responsibility
Yeah.
and collective support.
Yeah. And collective support.
It's about recognizing that
Yeah.
we're all in this together.
We are.
And by working collaboratively,
Yeah.
being informed and engaged citizens,
Yeah.
we can navigate these
complex economic waters.
Right. And hopefully create a more prosperous...
It's an equitable future for everyone.
We'll like that.
Yeah.
And on that note of hope and collective action,
Yes.
we will wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
Right.
Remember, listener, the best investment you can make is in your own understanding.
Absolutely.
Stay curious. Stay engaged.
Yeah.
And keep exploring this fascinating world of economics.
Yeah, the world of economics.
Because it is fascinating.
It is.
Yeah.
It really is.
All right. We'll see you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.
It's about recognizing that we're all in this together.
Yeah.
And that by working collaboratively, by being informed and engaged citizens, we can navigate these complex economic waters and create a more prosperous and equitable future.
For everyone.
Beautifully said.
Yeah.
And on that note of hope and collective action, we will wrap up this episode of The Deep Dive.
All right.
Remember, listener, the best investment you can make is in your own understanding.
Absolutely.
Stay curious.
Stay curious.
Stay engaged.
Stay engaged.
And keep exploring this fascinating world of economics.
Yeah, it really is a fascinating world.
It is.
All right.
Okay. See you next time.
Sounds good.
Bye.
Bye.